First, I wanted to chat more about the breaking news from yesterday. Jeff Bezos is in talks to raise $100 billion for an AI manufacturing fund. There was a funny post that was like, he has $200 billion. Why does he need to raise more money?
No conviction? No conviction?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
No, it was funny. It was it definitely, this broke containment and got into kind of the anti-capitalist part of X, and they were like, wait, why are you asking people for money? You have all the money.
Yeah.
He wants to let other people in on the action.
Well, I do wonder what his GP commit will be.
That's what I was saying yesterday. I was like, I would expect him to be like, yeah, I'm good for 20.
20 or 30 or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he'll go even longer. But in general, I think the idea of going around the globe, because he's an international person at this point, hoovering up money from all over different sovereign wealth funds and then deploying that to help rebuild the American manufacturing base is a good thing. I wrote about it today in the newsletter, TBPN.com, and I also tried to do some searching and think about what do you actually buy for $100 billion? What does a portfolio look like if it's a private equity style roll-up? If you're just taking out the market caps and you're sort of assuming the debt and continue to operate the business, but then bring more efficiency to bear, what are some of the top options? What do some of the options look like?
The other thing is I saw a very viral post about someone that seemingly read the headline and thought, don't you have enough money already? Why do you have to buy all these companies and fire? Like they saw automation and they just assumed like job loss. And when I look at this, I'm like, okay, if he's successful, we will actually start adding a bunch of new manufacturing jobs, which we've been shedding over the last year. So
exactly. So headline number's funny. If he had done 99 billion or 101 billion, I don't think people would be making as many SoftBank comparisons. But of course, as soon as you hear $100 billion for a mega fund, you instantly
think this guy's got
SoftBank.
vision.
He's got vision. It's a vision fund for America. I like the idea of an American SoftBank, of an American vision fund. So I'm generally pro. But of course, people are going to make comparisons to SoftBank, which has had some huge winners and a few black eyes. Moss is a high vol guy. He's been the world's richest man briefly during the dot-com boom. It was reported that he was worth more than Bill Gates. It was pretty temporary, unclear exactly how much. And of course, there was no liquidity at the time. But he's also held the crown for the man who lost the most money in human history after losing $76 billion in 2 years. You're supposed to do the wah-wah for that. But he made it all back.
I was preemptively hitting it.
Okay, yeah. He did make it all back. He's made almost $100 billion twice. I think maybe there was a moment when he had the title of making $100 billion twice, one on Alibaba and then the second one on ARM. He's made money on Nvida and lots of other things. The idea of an American SoftBank, especially one focused on revitalizing American manufacturing, I like that idea. There are a million reasons why this is an important project: job creation, economic independence, national security, and you might just get more cool stuff. Like as manufacturing gets cheaper, like the tools that you use, the cars that you drive, the washing machine in your home, the tires on your cars, all these different things get better, not just cheaper, but actually unlock new capabilities and new things that people enjoy. And so I'm in favor of more manufacturing, more economic development, basically. And so the question about Jeff Bezos' role, he's a great operator, and I think he's the right person to take the reins and actually deliver here. So like Masa, Jeff Bezos has been through the ups and downs of the dot-com boom and bust. At one point, Jeff Bezos lost 85% of his net worth in 2 years.
But he made it back.
He did make it back, and more. He was worth 8 or 9 billion and got down to his last 1 billion, basically, because of the stock drop in Amazon. But he built it. But he not only kept Amazon alive, which I think everyone knows that Amazon went up during the dot-com bubble and then crashed and then built back up. But he also kept Blue Origin alive during that time because he founded Blue Origin in 2000.
Wow.
Before the crash.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, before the crash. So he was...
Was it before SpaceX?
Yeah, before SpaceX.
Whoa.
Yeah. So...
Because
Elon
for some reason I assume that Blue Origin was just mimetic with Elon.
No. He did it earlier.
Wow.
And so
cool.
he kept Blue Origin alive. And can you imagine how stressful it is? You're like, okay, I'm worth 10 billion. Certainly I can have a little side project as a treat. And you're like, okay, I just lost 85% of my money.
I deserve a side project that loses 20 million a month.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know how much they were losing, but that doesn't seem unreasonable. But he was able to keep it going. Of course, Blue Origin was a slow story all the way up until like last year when they landed New Glenn. And so he kept both alive, and he's never given up on the project Blue Origin that always has felt behind SpaceX for the 2 decades that it's been operating, but is now sort of unlocking new capabilities and feels more real.
Turtle mode.
Yeah, turtle mode for sure, but it's working. Regardless of the fact that SpaceX is still ahead of Blue Origin, you have to give him credit for like operating that company efficiently and actually delivering a product that we all saw go up and come back. And so like the rockets did go up and land and come back, and he's delivered people to space and back. And so he's like achieved the goal and not lost all the money and not put the company in jeopardy. And so like clearly there's some operational
That's a narrative violation.
It is a narrative violation. What makes Bezos uniquely equipped to take on this type of project is the nature of his business over the last few decades. So he's never really had the zero marginal cost luxuries afforded to other pure play internet founders. Amazon's just always interfaced with the physical world. So it's been, even though it's a software company and a tech company, it's always interfaced with the physical world. And they've had to focus on operational efficiencies to scale. So in 2012, Amazon bought Kiva Systems, which turned into Amazon Robotics. And that's a big risk to buying a big company. And we think that, if this $100 billion fund turns into sort of a private equity roll-up, you're going to ask the question, can Bezos buy a company for $1 billion, $5 billion, $10 billion, 50 billion, who knows, and operate it and scale it and actually continue to deliver value. And he certainly did that with Kiva Robotics, which turned into Amazon Robotics, which delivered over 1 million robots that are deployed across the operations network. So from fulfillment centers, warehouse automation, inventory flow, last mile delivery, all of these require tight integration between hardware and software to run smoothly. Bezos clearly loves this stuff, and you can actually see it when you look at his face whenever he gives a tour of an Amazon warehouse or an Blue Origin facility. He's just beaming, and he's absolutely obsessed with this technology and the physical world. And so the question I had was like, what should he buy?
Yeah, the other thing is like, seeing all the different volume across Amazon and being like, well, it'd be pretty convenient if that was made here or this was made here, or at least some of the components were made here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you didn't just have assembly here.
Yeah, I mean, there is I hadn't considered that narrative, but there is a different flow where
He's not sitting there being like, great, I love that so much of our volume is having to be shipped or flown across the ocean.
Ton of that, yeah. And then also he's seen attacks from Temu and Shein and Alibaba and AliExpress and a whole bunch of direct from manufacturing plant to customer, and how do you respond to that? Maybe getting into the deeper in the supply chain makes sense. Although I'm not entirely sure that there's so little reporting at this point. It's the only line is that he'll be buying manufacturing companies. So there's a lot in the supply chain. So I wanted to dig through some stuff that could potentially be in the crosshairs for Bezos. The first is Lear. They manufacture seats and electronic systems for the automotive industry. And a lot of these companies have huge revenues and small market caps. So Lear did $23 billion in 2025 revenue. The market cap is around $5 billion. And so the business is operationally complex. I mean, on a PE ratio, it trades at like, I think 13 price to earnings. And so, like, you have these high revenues because you're in the manufacturing business, but you're low margin. But
yeah, and this has been some of the concern around VCs investing in manufacturing businesses.
Yep, are they used to it?
And just a general concern that they might today be getting valued on a revenue multiple, but as they get to the public markets, people will expect them to be valued on earnings, and that is a very different story.
Borg-Warner is another example. They're a scaled auto supplier, $14 billion in 2025 revenue. Market cap is $9.5 billion. They're more focused on propulsion and power-related systems. They literally make turbochargers for internal combustion engines, although they have shifted their business a lot to be focused on electronic components, both in terms of making battery packs, motors, but they're actually already getting into selling turbine generator systems for data centers. They're part of the AI boom already. Hexcel is another company. They're guiding to $2 billion in revenue, but the market cap is $5 billion, so a little pricier on a price to sales ratio. Here's a fun one, Goodyear. Not only do you get blimps, which has got to be important if you're trying to go blimp for blimp with Sergey Brin, You just jump to the front of the line. It's only a $1.8 billion
This revenue multiple
company.
is criminal.
Yeah, it's only, so the market cap for Goodyear is $1.8 billion. And revenue was $18 billion. So they're trading at a 0.1x
Somewhere out there, there's
revenue.
like a VC-funded tire company.
It's like 100x revenue.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're going to go through 1,000x multiple compression over the next decade? Yes, you will. But Goodyear's sort of the classic AI for manufacturing case.
They got to focus.
Big
they got to
plants,
get
repeatable
investors thinking about
processes.
their advertising blimp monopoly.
Yep.
And scaling that business.
Yep.
To capitalize
So
on the
quality control is really critical. There's opportunities for downtime optimization. So if you can have better systems that limit downtime, you can produce more tires. The tire market is extremely competitive. You see Chinese tires on cars more and more. And so these are thin margin companies. And that's why the multiple's so low. But getting Goodyear.
Scariest moment of my life in a car.
Yeah, Chinese tires, old Chinese tires.
Old Chinese tires.
But a lot of people go in and they say, I need new tires, just give me whatever's cheapest. And so if you're competing on price and you're a low-cost supplier, every dollar counts. On the bigger side, you have Rockwell Automation. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos for the Rockwell Turbo Encabulator. Have you ever seen these? Look at this.
Research has been proceeding to develop a line of automation products that establishes new standards for quality, technological leadership, and operating excellence. With customer success as our primary focus, work has been proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only provide inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters. Such an instrument comprised of Dodge gears and bearings, Reliant electric motors, Allen Bradley controls, and all monitored by Rockwell software is Rockwell Automation's Retro Encabulator. Now, basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it's produced by the modial interaction of magnetoreluctance and capacitive duractance.
Passive interaction.
Why so
The original
reluctant?
machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panometric fan. The lineup consisted simply
it's
of
just
six
it's just like such a
hydrocoptic-
funny in-joke for electrical engineers because it's just a whole bunch of like slop basically. Like, oh, none of those terms mean anything.
Good startup launch video concept.
Yeah. It really, I mean, it helps you like detect like, are you in group, out group, basically. Very, very fun. But they
You're saying
are
out group.
What? Well, were you able to clock it, or were you like, oh, that sounds good?
I mean, it sounded silly.
It sounds silly. So Rockwell Automation's on the bigger side, but they sit right at the intersection of factory automation, software, and control. So although that video is a joke, Rockwell does work on factory automation already. So the thesis with this one is that the business is already dedicated to industrial automation, and so it's less of a turnaround, but it's a control point for pushing AI to thousands of other factories. So you're deeper in the supply chain. It's expensive at $40 billion, but potentially in the budget.
Do you think there's a world where he just buys a Ford Motor Company?
That would be
it would
crazy.
Obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
He would have to lever up.
What is Ford now? I thought
40,
Ford
it's
was-
45,
Okay.
but I'm not. But he's not going to just drop raise $100 billion and then buy a company for entirely with equity.
I feel like it will be deeper in the supply chain than a brand, but I don't know. It's possible. It's possible.
But he might say,
Isn't he already a big investor in Rivian?
yeah, sure.
So like looking deeper into that supply chain, and there's a few other car companies that he's been involved in. I just don't know that there's that's where the big opportunity is. It might be deeper in the supply chain, like bending the metal that goes into the bumper, this and that, and it's 12 steps deep. It's more boring, but it's even thinner margins, less brand risk and brand value, but really focused on applying that actual commercial excellence. And then there's also the option that we get some sort of Elon-style megacorp with Blue Origin involved at some point. Like XAI and SpaceX merged. It's possible that Blue Origin and this vehicle come together with Project Prometheus in some way, and then that goes public as a new entity. A lot of these. He's actually mentioned the whole space data center thing before. I think a while ago, wasn't it? Like more than a year ago. I don't.
Yeah, I think they also just filed something with the FCC.
Okay, yeah, for the new cloud.
Yeah,
for the
it was
new.
like 50,000 satellites. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. So he wants like a direct Starlink competitor. And so when you think about the full AI stack, if he's really, off planet, pilled, and thinks he can get there, even if it's like a year or two behind, or I guess what's the timeline for his Starlink competitor? That would be like 3 years behind, 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, for the moon, he's supposed to be ahead, right?
Oh yeah.
So.
Maybe this will all go on the moon. Well, either way, it's a big move from an experienced operator with lots of opportunity ahead, and it'll be fun to follow along.
And I'm glad he's back in the game in a big way.
Yeah.
Not just doing random, side projects.
Bottle service.
Or bottle service.
Yes.
He's got to be spending
award
more
shows.
time and energy securing America's future than securing bottle service.
Well, I mean, the guy can take a weekend off, but one photo from his weekend flies a lot further than, he could be completely locked in and just grinding 80 hours, and then he gets bottle service just one time. And let's go over to Jensen on the All In podcast.
$500,000 engineer at the end of the year. I'm going to ask him how much did you spend in tokens? And that person said $5,000. I will go ape something else.
Yeah, right.
If that $500,000 engineer did not consume at least $250,000 worth of tokens, I am going to be deeply alarmed. Okay, and this is no different than one of our chip designers who says, guess what? I'm just going to use paper and pencil. I don't think I'm going to need any CAD tools.
Right. This is a real paradigm shift to start thinking about these all-star employees. It almost reminds me of what we learned in the NBA when LeBron James started spending $1 million a year just on his health of his body, and maintaining it.
That's right.
Here he is at age 41, still playing. It really is, hey, if these are incredible knowledge workers, why wouldn't we give them superhuman abilities?
That's exactly right.
Where does that go? If we extrapolate out 2 or 3 years from now, what is the efficiency of that all-star at Nvidia and what they're able to accomplish? What do they look like?
Well, first of all, things that wow, this is too hard. That thought is gone. This is going to take a long time. That thought is gone. We're going to need a lot of people. That thought is gone. This is no different than in the last industrial revolution. Somebody goes, boy, that building really looks heavy. Nobody says that.
Right.
Wow, that mountain looks too big. Nobody says that.
Right.
Everything that's too big, too heavy, takes too long, those ideas are all gone.
You're reduced to creativity.
That's right.
What can you come up with?
Exactly.
Right.
Which means, now the question is, how do you work with these agents? Well, it's just a new way of doing computer programming. In the past, we code. In the future, we're gonna write ideas, architectures, specifications. We're going to organize teams. We're going to help them define how to evaluate the definition of good versus bad.
Right.
What does it look like when something is a great outcome? How to iterate with you, how to brainstorm.
Says, guy that sells shovels says you should spend 50% of your salary on shovels. But of course, Jensen's point is generally correct, which is that you should give your best people a lot of leverage.
Yeah, I do wonder what the leverage ratio is in other industries. If you're a crane operator and you're making, I don't know,
if you should give him the best possible crane.
Yeah, is it possible that if you're operating a $10 million crane or something, I don't know how much a crane costs, or or a cargo ship that's ferrying oil across the world, how much does that crew cost? And then how much does the ship cost? And then what's the depreciation on that ship? Because it might be like a $100 million ship that will last 20 years. So you're looking at $5 million a year. And if the total cost of the crew is like $1 million, well, then you're actually spending more on the capital asset than the underlying talent, and you're getting leverage on top of that. And for a long time, software engineering has not been that. It's been, $100 worth of internet and a couple $1,000s on a MacBook and a lot of open source software because you're using Python and Linux and these things. And I mean, I guess you could maybe burden your cloud budget once you actually deploy the app. Like if you think about if you're a Facebook engineer or Instagram engineer, you could push a feature that consumes a ton of compute. But this is also going back to the AI talent war, where you get back into if you're a elite software engineer and you're like, look, I'm going to be in charge. I'm going to be managing $500,000 worth of token budget over the next year. Well, I want comp that's higher than that or something like that. It'll be very interesting to see how the the value works there. A reasonable ballpark for the annual cost of a fully loaded cargo ship is around $4 to $18 million. So including the cash operating cost plus the depreciation. So I don't know.
In other news, the U.S. Department of Justice announced yesterday 3 charged with conspiring to unlawfully divert cutting-edge U.S. AI technology to China. The indictment unsealed today details alleged effort to evade U.S. export laws through false documents, staged dummy servers to mislead inspectors, and convoluted transshipment schemes in order to obfuscate the true destination of restricted AI technology, China. Said John Eisenberg, Assistant Attorney General for National Security. These chips are the product of American ingenuity, and NSD will continue to enforce our export control laws to protect that advantage. So the company, SMIC, Super Micro Computer Inc.,
co-founder.
They caught him red-handed.
His name's Wally. He's arrested today or yesterday. He personally holds $500 million of Supermicro stock, still risked it all, and now he's facing 30 years in federal prison. That is crazy. He was charged with smuggling billions in Nvidia servers to China, used Southeast Asian shell company to funnel $2.5 billion in servers to Chinese buyers, $500 million worth shipped in just 3 weeks in spring of 2025. That's a lot. $2.5 billion in servers feels like enough for like a frontier training run. Like that's a big push. Built thousands of fake dummy servers to fool U.S. compliance auditors, caught on surveillance camera using a hairdryer to swap serial number stickers. And so OX Gigi says, this man is a billionaire and was removing labels with a hairdryer personally. You're simply not grinding hard enough.
There's always a grind set lesson in any story like this.
Let's take this over to LinkedIn.
I mean, it's also notable because there's the export tax or tip that, that you're trying to bring chips out of the country. The U.S. government kind of flips over the Square terminal and they say, tip, please. It's 25%. So you're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars even if these were chips that were able to be exported.
We were debating the flipping the iPad around, asking for a tip earlier today. And I think our joint stance was, if the iPad is turned around, you got to tip.
Yeah.
It's just the etiquette is that you got to tip. But is there anywhere where that line crosses and you say, I can't possibly push something?
Funny thing is, Air One asks for tips.
Really?
On online orders.
Online orders. Wait, but there will be a human delivering it, or
no? There's 2 separate tips.
Okay.
There's the person in the store who puts the things in the bag, and then there's the delivery person.
Yeah.
And they flip it over twice.
Yeah. The game theory of this stuff is always hard because I feel like, I don't know, there's regulations on like taxes on tips, but it's very unclear if companies actually funnel, how they distribute the tips. Like, are you tipping the person or the tips grouped together? Were your tips pooled when you were a valet?
Yeah.
They were pooled. So even if you did a great job.
2 jobs at the hotel. The valets, they pool.
Yeah.
Bell staff, the people that like take you down to your room, do not pool.
Huh.
And that was just the rules.
Oh, it's because I might be the one who parks the car, you might be the one who gets
Well, in a dynamic where you have a bunch of valets that are waiting for cars, it would be a bad experience for the guest if the valets are like, they see a nice car pull in and they're like fighting over themselves to deliver a service, right? It should just be like whoever's available should deliver the best possible service. Whereas Bell work is much more one-on-one.
Okay.
It's like, I'm kind of your guide on the property. I'm going to like, you might have the person's cell phone. They might be texting you, et cetera.
Interesting.
And so it makes more sense to not pool.
When a broker who had bought NVIDIA-powered servers from the Southeast Asian company sent Sunny a text message containing a link to an announcement about Chinese nationals being arrested for smuggling AI chips into China, Sunny allegedly responded with sobbing emojis.
Scroll up so people can see.
Morning Brew says, hey man, you're probably going to jail. Supermicro co-founder, cry emoji. And scroll down and you'll see Nick Carter, literally this, your son has passed away. It's the warthog explosion. I'm sorry, but the Supermicro thing is awful, but parts of it are genuinely hilarious. They literally used a hairdryer to move serial numbers from real servers to dummy servers to throw in a warehouse and got caught on camera. And the pictures have actually leaked.
Literally caught red-handed.
Yes, it's a red hairdryer. That is remarkable. Trung fan says, do things that don't scale. Classic founder energy. In January of
posted by Beijing-based entrepreneur Sudi on the Chinese social media platform Douyin has sparked significant
Wait, it's literally,
discussion.
You can see, watch this. Look at that. Rewind for a second. You can see a Supermicro logo.
No way.
Entrepreneur Sudi on the Chinese social media platform Douyin has sparked significant discussion. In the video, Sue boasts of...
Oh my God! That's like the biggest logo for Supermicro ever.
Wow, Bone is absolutely
and this
correct.
is from January. No, I'm telling you, like a lot of, I'm sure the folks in the Justice Department were working on this like earlier than this, but a lot of times, like legal action will happen like downstream of like YouTube drama videos.
So almost a year and a quarter ago, somebody responded to Bone and says it's SMIC packaged, and Bone says, "Do you think SMIC is smuggling chips?"
Wow.
And the
Innocent
poster
until
says
proven
it's
guilty,
possible.
but
It's a
they are
family-owned
alleged.
business in Taiwan. I won't be surprised if there are some family members who want to make this money by setting up fake shell entities and smuggling chips for business partners in China.
Wow.
It's good money.
Wow. Kevin Kwok has a good meme that everyone enjoyed. They expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. And it's not Jensen. The Bane meme. It's very, very funny.
The SMIC founder, I believe, was at GTC just a few days ago.
Oh, really?
Hanging out.
No way.
He was. I saw a picture of him with Jensen.
Yeah, until the music stops playing, I suppose. We will be watching Bruce Lee fight Chuck Norris in The Way of the Dragon, because this is the way that we pay our respects to Chuck Norris, who, of course, passed away at the age of, I think, 86. And this is one of the most iconic fight scenes in movie history. Have you seen The Way of the Dragon?
Of course.
Of course not. This scene was unique. It was set inside Rome's Colosseum, and it was often cited as a turning point for how martial arts were portrayed on screen, particularly because they didn't use actors. So both Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris were legitimately high-level fighters. Norris was world karate champion at the time. They cast him in part because of that, and it has a much more like grounded, credible feel, as opposed to like previously like more stylized kung fu films. And you can see this with the, Bruce Lee actually directed and choreographed this himself. So Lee had full control, so the director didn't say anything. And they do these cool like punch-in shots. Look at this. So you're seeing nice wide, you can see exactly where he is. There's no body double. And then we're gonna zoom in, and then what are we gonna do again? We're gonna zoom in again. And so we see his face, and he's just sitting there waiting. Brilliant shot. So much time to breathe and understand and feel what he's feeling. The music, footsteps, breathing, clothing movement. The cat, of course.
Any snakes?
Yeah. No snakes, I don't think. I haven't watched the whole thing. The camera often stays wide. This stands in contrast to something like The Bourne Identity. Very like fast cuts, close-ups. Much easier to get something that feels intense when you're cutting and chopping. It's much harder to make something like this where you see the full body, you see, now we're in slow-mo. They're shotting back and forth. The empty arena gives a gladiatorial vibe, a sense of ritual combat. Visually frames the fight as mythic, not just physical. Increases his mobility, switches his rhythm. We got to talk over it or else we get demonetized and banned. So let's move over to Montana. One and only Moonlight Basin. There's a property that made it into the timeline. Ooh, indoor pool.
New.
Okay.
This is a new hotel.
Okay.
Got to visit the property a few weekends ago with.
I saw some
Paul.
promotional material for this. Yeah.
It is absolutely stunning.
Okay.
I want to have Sam, the founder of Cross Harbor, who's the developer behind it, on the show, because he's basically, in my view, it felt like he was the mayor of Big Sky. He's developed and all these incredible properties. Donated a hospital to Big Sky too. Just said, here's a hospital.
That's cool.
For the local community, which is amazing.
Does it have zebras?
No zebras.
Does it have tortoises?
For $5.1 million, this safari-like estate comes with zebras.
Oh, you got a solution to my problem. I need zebras.
Animals roam free at California's 137 Oak Hill Preserve, which has a 5-bedroom lodge and a helipad.
I feel like anything that has zebras and tortoises should be up in the double digits.
Each zebra, I don't know how much it costs to get a zebra, but you should get like a 10x multiplier on it.
Yeah, for sure. So
it's like having an AI researcher.
Visited Africa for the first time in the 80s, he said, but his heart never left. He proposed to his now wife, Bernadette Kraft, in a hot air balloon. That's elite. Above the Serengeti National Park. The couple got married in Nairobi, Kenya in 1988, and 2 decades after taking their 3 sons to Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. Brian started wondering how he could bring some of the African experience closer to home. Can I recreate a mini Africa that's a short distance away from our house? Thus began a years-long process of developing a roughly 137-acre safari-like sanctuary in Ione, California. So now approaching the age of 70, Kraft, who is a commercial real estate broker, entrepreneur, and aspiring screenwriter, is listing the vacation property for $5.1 million. Approximately 15 animals are included in the offering. That's only less than a 10x multiple per animal.
Flat 2 hours right now from
helicopter?
San Francisco. But
okay.
get this, by train,
yeah,
it'll only take you 6 hours.
Wait, did you guys miss this line? It says one of his friends discovered what he believes to be a century-old gold mine.
Wait, really?
What?
Okay, he's pranking everyone right now.
This is crazy.
I think he wanted to just show off his ranch. So he's like, yeah, I'm selling.
He's not selling this thing.
There's no way.
He
just wanted the journal feature.
We do need to get this guy on the show though. He seems like he's just had a great life and a great time. There is a call sheet here. Which companies will officially announce an IPO this year? Jersey Mike's is running away with it at 73%. OpenAI's at 48%, Anthropic's at 42%, SpaceX is at 88%.
Jersey Mike's.
Cerebras is at 91%.
We got to do the Jersey Mike's IPO.
Jersey Mike's IPO. If they don't get on the New York Stock Exchange, we're not doing our job. We got to have the founder on the show. Skims at 31%, Deal at 23%.
Skims IPO is interesting.
Databricks 22%, Shein 21%, Beast Industries at 14%, Anduril at 13%. This is an interesting. I'm really into this. Thank you for watching. Big weekend. I will see you all on Monday. Leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Is there anything else we got to do? No.
We
Sign
love
up
you.
for the newsletter.